Global Scholars. You are welcome to Mathematics Class for JS1 Scholars. Today we are looking at the topic fraction. What is a fraction? A fraction is the part of a whole number. For example, you have a whole orange. If you cut the orange into two, you get a fraction, 1/2. That means to get a fraction, once a whole is splitted into 2 or into 3 or into 4, you get a fraction. And in every fraction there are two numbers, one number above the line and the other number below the line. The number above the line is called numerator, while the number below the line is called denominator. So in every fraction there are two numbers, numerator and denominator, and the fraction is the part of a whole number. Now we move to types of fractions. There are different types of fractions. Number one, we have proper fraction. Proper fractions are fractions whose numerators are less than the denominators. Proper fractions are fractions whose numerators are less than the denominators. For example, you have 3/4. 3/4 is a proper fraction because the numerator is lesser than the denominator. So any fraction whose numerator is lesser than the denominator is called a proper fraction. You have 3/4, you have 4/5, and you have 5/6, and so on. Number two, we have improper fraction. Improper fraction. Improper fractions are fractions whose numerators are greater than the denominators. For example, you have 4/3. The numerator is 4 and the denominator is 3. So whenever you have a bigger numerator up and you have a smaller denominator, that gives you an improper fraction. Examples further, you have something like 6/5 and you have 7/6, you have 8/7, etc. These are examples of improper fraction. The third one we are looking at is mixed fraction. Some call it mixed fraction, I call it mixed number. Mixed fractions or mixed numbers. Mixed fraction. You have mixed fraction or mixed numbers. Mixed number equals to a whole number plus proper fraction. A whole number plus proper fraction. For example, you have 4 whole number, then you add 3/4. So mixed numbers refers to the combination of a whole number and a proper fraction. So to get a mixed number or a mixed fraction, you must have a whole number, then you add up a proper fraction. Further examples, you have 5 whole number, 6/7. You have 6 whole number, 7/8, etc. All of this gives you examples of mixed numbers. The fourth one and the last I want to give you now is called equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions. Remember, from the word equals to, we got the word equivalent. From the word equals to, we got the word equivalent. What are equivalent fractions? Equivalent fractions are a group of fractions equal to each other when reduced to lowest time through division processes. Equivalent fractions are a group of fractions equal to each other when divided to lowest time. For example, I have 1/2. I can build more fractions from 1/2. 1/2 is equivalent to 2 over 4 is equivalent to 3 over 6 is equivalent to 4 over 8 is equivalent to 5 over 10, etc. If you look at this group of fractions, when you divide them to lowest term, you are going to get 1 over 2 for all of them. So any group of fraction equal to each other is called equivalent fractions. Any group of fractions equal to each other is called equivalent fraction. From the example on the board, you will discover that I used 1 over 2 to build other equivalent fractions. When you are building equivalent fractions, one thing you need to note, the first fraction is used to build up other equivalent fractions. Another example, if I have 1 over 4, I want to build further one. The next one I'm going to have will give me 2 over 8. And once you get this, to get the next one, you have 4 over 12. You have 4 over 12. 2 over 8. If you reduce to the rest, I have 2 here, 1. Okay, let's go accordingly. You have 1 over 4. You have 2 over 8. And after 2, we have 3. You have 3 over 12. After 3, you have 4 over 16. And after 4, you have 5 over 20, etc. If you look at all of this, you will discover that when I reduce each of the fractions to lowest terms, they are going to be equal to 1 over 4. So a group of fractions equal to each other is called equivalent fractions. Now, we are going to stop here for now. Your class activities for now will be in 4 sections. Section 1, list 5 proper fractions. Section 2, list 5 improper fractions. Section 3, list 5 mixed numbers. And section 4, list 3 different equivalent fractions in group format, as you can see in my example. Thanks for listening. Hope to see more of you. Thank you.